Hey, what's going on, man? Let me do it
What's
this
happening?
way. What's happening? Well,
Yeah,
how's your Father's Day, brother?
it's just another beautiful day in the neighborhood.
Yeah, welcome to the BMU network. Everybody out there, whoever's out there right now. Yeah, mine was cool, man. So, are your kids old enough to do anything for you other than say Happy Father's Day? Or how old's your oldest?
13.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. My daughters had me. They had a plan. They try to keep it secret, but I figured out what they was going to do. So it was cool. It was not only it was a good Father's Day. They paid for it too. They say whatever they pay for everything. So I said it's cool, man. Those kids, man, they ain't no kids no more. So yeah, they don't need me to buy my own presents. Hey,
That's
thank
a
you, buddy.
beautiful thing. That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a beautiful
anyway,
thing. I grilled in the rain, fed my kids, had a good day.
yeah, it's good. And yeah, man, congratulations to all the fathers out there, whoever's listening. It was a good day, man. It was a good day, man. Send all my Father's Day wishes to everybody. At least get one day for people to recognize that there are men in the world who are fathers. You know what I'm saying? What's going on, Trey? What's happening?
At
He's
least
back
one
here
day.
early. So, just in general, man, what do you think about the immigration topic, man?
I think
You been watching any of
ways-
that stuff?
there's ways. Yeah. Of course, of course. I've watched what I've been able to mentally hold.
Okay.
It gets to a point to where it's just like, all right, now, all right, now it's just too much. I have to separate myself because I still want to be able to go through my day to day and not be mixed
Be
up in the head.
tripping over it, right?
Yeah, like tripping off all this. I don't be trying to be in my head about that. So yeah, I've been watching it, but look, man, there's ways to go about it. And of course, people try and find shortcuts and workarounds. And sometimes you get caught up in the shortcut, and that's just how life goes. In a general sense, is how I look at it.
Oh man, what's this? Yeah, people are advertising over here. This is cash for life.
Oh no, that's my
You know these
people.
people?
What's up,
These your
Ash?
people?
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
What's up, Ash? What's up, Ash?
All right. What's going on? Anyway, so listen. The way I put this together, um, I was just going to go like a daisy chain of events. You saw what I had. What I want to do is kind of take it from the top. One, talk a little bit about the issue, the mandate, and the law, right? And we all know about the flood of immigrants we had in the last 4 years, the so-called 20 million. Now, that's the figure everybody keeps using, so that's why we're going with it. I don't know what the exact number, like, but everybody said it was 20 million. So let's just say it was 20 million. Those borders was packed, but that sounds like a lot. But let's just say it was 20 million sanctuary cities and stuff like that. But one of the things I think a lot of people don't realize that it's hard to become an American citizen through the green card approach uh, by design. It's not a fluke that the bandwidth for how many people could become a citizen in 1 year is small. I think in 2018, at one point there was 32 million people who applied for a green card. Guess how many they gave out? 1 million.
You said it was how many that applied again?
32 million. 32 million. And they only gave out 1 million. That wasn't an accident. That was that design. And the reason why that's by design, well, two things. First thing, when you have that many people who have that big a demand and so small of a supply, that creates a black market. By definition, that creates a black market, right? And that's why everybody, the demand to get here is big, but the bandwidth is small. The supply of green cards is small. It creates a black market. All right, so that's one. And the second thing is one of the main reasons why the funnel is so small is because one word, assimilation. It's assimilation. Because it takes like once you get a green card, one, you got to learn English. You got to establish residency here in the United States for like 5 years. And you can't leave the country for like 6 months at a time or any kind of shit like that, right? You got to do a lot of stuff that can convince the people that you want to become assimilated in American culture. And then you got to put some more paperwork in, and then you go through the final process of, going through, raising your hand and go and take the test and all that. But I think the average time is like 7 to 10 years, I believe, even with a green card. So and it's for assimilation. So when you flood the United States with 20 million people, there's no way those people could be assimilated. And here's another thing, and that's even if they wanted to be assimilated. I got a video here where people are saying, we just come in here for the pennies. We don't give a shit about America. So I got a video for that. All right. So the other thing is, just the other example of the assimilation is so important. Remember the folks up in, I think it's Connecticut or Massachusetts, where they put all those Haitians? They got a bunch of Haitians. The amount of Haitians they put in that town was almost equivalent to the whole population of the town. So even if you were doing something altruistic, those people weren't going to assimilate. They created a little Haiti, and even if I think those people had a job and all that. So I'm not coming down on the Haitians, because if anybody can really have an excuse for asylum, it's the folks from Haiti. There's no doubt about it. That place is shithole right now, man. And I mean it, man. What's his name? Barbecue? Barbecue runs the place. They got a guy called Barbecue. And he uses those set people on fire with the tires and shit. They call him Barbecue.
Like, think about what kind of shit you got to do for a nickname like Barbecue to stick. Like,
Barbecue,
like,
man.
think about what you got to do for that to stick.
Yeah, man. It's incredible. So anyway, so there you go. So every year we have this demand that is so far outstrips the supply. So now Trump closes down the border, and here we are where we are, right? So the mandate that Trump got is a tenuous one at best, right? Because a lot of people see a lot of folks who are against what he's doing, and we tend to forget that almost as many people voted for Kamala Harris that voted for him. So there's millions of people against his immigration mandate. Half of the people, more than half, are idiots, okay? Because they don't understand that kind of immigration is destructive to our way of life, if you think about it, both in taxes, assimilation, and stuff like that. And so I wanted to get that out first. And then I have the law, right? Because there's some misinformation about the law. Okay. And the law is really simple. Okay. If you come into the United States based on Title 8, 1325, the very first time, it's a misdemeanor. Okay. If they catch you, they're not trying to throw you in jail. It's a misdemeanor. Okay. And then they'll deport you because you are breaking the law. And a lot of people the news will have you believe that if you're here and it's only a misdemeanor offense, that we should give you that you should be able to slide. That's bullshit, right?
Well, shit,
misdemeanors.
if we gonna get him a pass, there's plenty of niggas in jail right now.
Yeah, misdemeanors are still a crime. It's just like more like on a civil side. You're not going to jail for a misdemeanor, but they will deport you. And then if you come back and they catch you for the second time, that's Title 8, 1326. And that's a felony. That means they'll deport your ass again, and you'll never be able to either apply for a green card or ever be able to come back. They don't give a shit about what your asylum, none of that stuff. You're going to be banned. You're going to have to sneak back in if you want to get back in. So that's those two laws. And then the third law is well, how can we have so many undocumented aliens, so many aliens working for, produce factories, chicken factories, and all these businesses, because it's absolutely against the law for them to hire these people under the book. That's the Immigration and Reform and Control Act of 1986. It's been illegal since 1986. And you go to section, there's a section, what's the section? 274-A, which means it's illegal to hire, undocumented people. And everybody knows they're breaking the law. Everybody knows where these guys are, okay, and all of that stuff. So that brings us to LA. That brings us to LA.
On that particular point, if let's say you're a manager at this facility, right? And you're just looking to hire somebody to do a job, and this person is in front of you looking for a job, and they have the paperwork. The paperwork might be a little suspect, but they got the paperwork. I'm just trying to find a body to do a job. Are they the problem? Like, are we saying that the managers that are hired?
First of all, it's funny that you mentioned paperwork. First of all, the CEOs use that as a ruse that they didn't know these guys were illegal. But you ever heard of the lead attorney? He's a YouTuber. The lead attorney is one of the best. So he went over that whole thing about the paperwork that these guys kind of show. They either have forged documents, okay, because they don't have no real paperwork, or they have real documents. But the real documents they use is a relatives. So if my name is Tranquita, and I got a cousin who looks a little bit like me, I'll use her information, whether she knows. Sometimes they give it to them personally, and they'll use real documents. Now, the owners of the company, they don't go through a fine-tooth comb to see if it's really you. They just know if I hire this person at below minimum wage with no benefits, I get them, I get near slave labor, where I don't have to hear no American guy talking about their stupid rights. You know what I'm saying? That's the deal. I mean, it's just the deal. It's just that simple. Now, here's where we get the big problem, right? Trump wants his numbers up. It's kind of like when they used to do stop and frisk. I want to stop and frisk. I want a whole bunch of numbers to put on my book so I can look like I'm doing some good shit. So the number of people he's deporting is not up to the numbers he wants. So he tells ICE, I want you to start raiding where I know a bunch of illegals are, like on the farms and all this shit, right? But lo and behold, he comes to the realization, if I take all of these guys out in one fell swoop, he is going to fuck up the economy. Because you can't replace those workers. If I got 1,000 workers on the field picking a perishable fruit or some shit like that, you ain't putting 1,000 people, the next week out there to replace them. American workers, get the hell out of here. Even if they work, they're gonna want to work for minimum wage in that state. They gonna have, if it's 40 hours or more a week, they want to have health insurance and all that shit. So that's the quandary he's in, and he recently kind of backtracked. I don't know if you heard it. The president recently said, okay, you know what? Maybe I'll kind of not raid the farms and the hotel industry and a couple of industries. So he's backtracking now. And the Democrats are saying he's surrendering. But I actually think that's a good move. But he's not doing it right. Here's what he should have done, right? But he can still do this. I would go to the sanctuary cities and say, listen, you want me to back off your workers? I'll do that if they're in these. I'll do that right now. But you have to let me work with your police force so I can get the real criminals when they're still in jail or in court, as opposed to me trying to get them off the street. And maybe I'll just go back to the hardened criminals. And if you work with me, I can get my numbers up with the real bad guys and you get the hell out of the way. So I'll let your so-called good illegals keep working if you let me have access to the bad illegals at the jailhouse, at their courtroom. And that's the deal he should be brokering. And I'm feeling like I should be fucking president. Because if I'm saying this, it's a simple fix to me. But think That's where we are right now. That's just exactly where we are right now.
It was that was so smooth. That he just said we're gonna protect Mexican jobs without calling them Mexican jobs. That's exactly what the fuck that was smooth as hell. Because everybody was up in arms when he said anything about black jobs. When he was, I think it was the debate with Biden he was in, when he was talking about black jobs, and everybody was up in arms.
But if you think about it, though, he's not really thinking about the nationality per se of the people, even though most of the Mexicans and Hispanics are concentrated in California. They got like 1.5 million illegals working on the books, maybe even more, right? And so the point really is that he also wants to champion a good economy. He doesn't want to see the economy go off the rails. Now, we might think two things happen. We just had a war start between Iran and Israel. Israel started a war. That first day on Friday, the market kind of perturbated. But when he said he'll back off the produce guys, today was a good day on the market. They don't. The market doesn't care pretty much that the people are dying over in Israel and over there. But he said, hey, you know what? I'll back off. Man, it was a good day on the market. Trey, you know that, right? I said, what the hell? I was expecting some red.
It's amazing how watching this presidency does run through people's brain differently, because I, like you, sometimes see this stuff and be like, I wonder if I put some money into this over here, what would happen? Like, you just, and then next thing you know, Trump say some stupid shit, be like, wow, the numbers went up.
Because fucking Trey, thank you, Israel. But go ahead, what you say?
No, look, the market is an amazing thing. Look, I really think this whole the media has a beautiful way of blowing shit.
Of course.
You know, because in my brain, I'm thinking about it as there's a lot of illegal shit that's happening in this country from people that are not from this country. And
right.
maybe it's my military brainwashing, but I kind of think it would be a good idea to protect the country from illegal shit. So if you're telling me that you have a department such as ICE, whose job it is to go search and find these motherfuckers and get their ass the fuck up out of here, why should they not be doing their job? Why would you not want them to do their job?
I know. And because of sanctuary cities. Now I'm gonna get to that. You just asked a question. I have the answer for you exactly. As we start looking at these clips, I have the precise answer why Democrat blue cities want ICE not to do their job in their cities. I got the answer. We got it all in this one little thing we're going to show, right? So first, I want to show you so that was the first part I wanted to talk about. At least, the fact that we have I guess the issue, we know the issue, we know the mandate and we know the law a little bit now. So now we're going to talk a little bit about the opposition to Trump's plan. Okay. So let's bear with me. Let me share something with you. And I'm going to show you some of the main culprits. All right. So these are the main culprits of the biggest cities that are in opposition to Trump's plan. They're not only in opposition to his plan. Were you going to say something?
Just real quick before you get too deep, yeah. I just want to say there are a lot of us that are trying to follow it, but it'd be shit like this. It's a lot of webs and extensions and shit that be happening that be easy to, like, I don't know all of these faces. You know what I'm saying?
Forget about the faces. That I can't. No, I'm not going to go into the details of each one of them. Just look at it at a 500-foot level. These people represent the biggest cities, the sanctuary cities. Chicago, New York, California, Colorado, and Massachusetts, right? So they're the biggest purveyors of sanctuary cities. And, so these politicians, the governor, forget their names, and the mayors of the biggest cities in these towns. So this is where the sanctuary cities. So in LA, right, we just saw the riot. Right? We have Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass, who are the primary players who are against the president, right? Bass being the mayor of LA and Gavin Newsom being the governor of California. So we just recently seen how a sanctuary state and city behaves when ICE is around. Because they tell their cops to stand down. So these people are opposed to Trump's plan of getting rid of these illegal aliens. They're not just running interference. They're opposed to it as Democrats. So all of these people are Democrat, liberal Democrats. Some of them are even socialists. Okay, so that's where it's at. That's the extension. That's why I brought them up, because now we moved on to who's the opposition. Right, so we don't need to be all familiar. We just know these are the biggest opposition, the opposition party, and they have a motivation why they're in opposition. Because one, they're hiring in a lot of areas the illegal aliens we're talking about, and then Trump and his crew made a mistake. Well, they didn't make a mistake. They said we're just going to get the big criminals out, okay? But the truth of the matter is that even if you're not a hardened criminal, if your paperwork is out of compliance for whatever reason, and I stop you, you're subject to deportation. Doesn't matter if you have 4 children by 7 baby daddies. Doesn't matter, if you've been here and you're a model citizen. None of that shit really matters. Now, it might be mitigation if you get your day in court. But when you're out of compliance, whether you were here on a visa or anything else, when you're out of compliance, you're subject to deportation. You don't have to be a hardened criminal. You could be an upside, and here's where the heartstrings come in, right? If I'm here for 20 years, I got a family, I got friends, but I'm here illegally, there's going to be people who love me. And so that's what's going on. There's people who have ties to these guys who are breaking the law. So that's the connection. And people, it's lost on people that, okay, if they're not a hardened criminal, why can't they stay? Well, that's bullshit. That's not how the law works. And so my best analogy is you drive. Do you consider yourself a good driver?
Yeah.
All right. So do I, man. I can't see anything, but I can drive pretty good. Right. So here's the point. If you get stopped by a cop and your license has expired, doesn't matter whether you're a good driver. You can't even get back into your car and drive away. Now, Trey, you can tell me whether that's true or not. The cop ain't going to let you drive the car out when you're out of compliance. You could tell them all the shit, man. I got my everything else paid. I got this and that, but you don't have a license. I can't put you back on the road. Matter of fact, I got to impound your car until you get right to get it back. Yeah, I think that's true. So the point really is, I'm saying, that's what it is. If you look at the illegal immigrants who are here, who are pretty cool, nice people, but if they're out of compliance, they're in trouble if they get caught. And I'll let you talk a little bit after this one. And the biggest thing is, bad criminal illegal aliens use the good ones as human shields. They use, when I say good illegal aliens, I mean the ones who don't have records, right? Because all of us might have a relative who's dirty and have people who are dirty, So, here's Trey answering this question. But in general, Trey, right? If you might have some wiggle room. There's a grace period, okay? Like if you're on your way to the DMV the day your license expired, okay? But yeah, but the point is, if you're out of compliance, you're subject to the law. That's the point.
I think that the law is the law and everything like that, and the enforcement of the law is always up to the discretion of whoever is holding the power, right? Because that same officer that'll pull you over, right? So if your vehicle expired, your vehicle could be a year expired. Let's say your vehicle.
Not your vehicle.
A license. No, I'm sorry, your license. Your license could be expired for a whole year. right? And you get pulled over, it's up to the discretion of the officer to either
No,
just
it's
write
not.
you a ticket or it. But what I'm saying, here's
I
what I'm
mean,
saying.
it
I'm
is.
saying,
But
okay,
go
here,
ahead.
matter of fact,
I'm
okay,
sorry. Go ahead.
I'll say
I'm
it more
sorry.
directly. I'll speak to you from personal experience, from
Right.
driving with a expired license, right?
Okay.
I've had an interaction with a police officer where I got pulled over. He pulled me over for turning without a turn signal. Right?
Okay.
So if he pulled me over for turning without a turn signal. Get to the process, he finds out that I don't have a driver's license, but I'm leaving work. I'm on my way home. He could have, if he wanted to, got me out the car, towed it, all of the extra things. He just wrote me a ticket for it. See what I'm saying?
Okay.
It was up to the discretion of him. Now, if
Oh,
I was,
it was a ticket that was enforced. The ticket you had to pay a fine. Then.
yeah.
Okay.
But he could have, but see what I'm saying? The enforcement of it, he could have taken my car. He could have immediately told me to get out and have had it towed because I can't drive it now. But he didn't take it that far. So if you find
What state were
someone
you
that
in? What state were you in?
Texas.
Because it could vary from state to state, you know. But the point really is that if he can if he could just write a ticket, you know, to absolve himself because he recognized that you didn't have your license and here's the ticket, you got to go to court or whatever, pay the fine, blah blah blah. But that's still following the rule. It just means that maybe it has a discretion that he doesn't have to take your car, but he still wrote you a ticket. Now, if he just let you go and didn't put it on record, now he's subject if you went down and hit somebody.
No, yeah, that's completely different, and that is completely different. So
Right.
if you come across somebody that's not, you know, if you come across somebody whose paperwork is not lined up, you know what I'm saying? There's going to be some kind of repercussion for it. You might get a fine. You might, you know, your paperwork might get delayed. Something may come of it. You know, there may be something that come of it. It might not have to be immediate deportation,
No,
but if
no.
somebody come
Okay.
across you and your shit is not lined up and you're a criminal, all right, big dog.
All right. So so I'm glad you're taking this position, right? You're saying, right? And I think that's in there. Depends on who gets you, right? Because we obviously aren't deporting all these guys. Now, if your sob story is good enough, or there's some reason to keep you here, or something like that, maybe they're not deporting you. But under this administration, I don't think they're going to give that person a grace period. That's why ICE doesn't want you to invade these spaces because they know they're not letting these people go. You know, whether you are a hardened criminal or not, they're not letting them go. Now, does any of them walk? Maybe. But I think that's the way it is working. But I think we understand each other. If you're out of compliance, you're subject to the rules. If you get a pass, that's an exception and it's not the rule. And that's where we are.
If you get a pass, shut the fuck up and stop talking. Shh.
Exactly. Accept the pass and disappear, you know, because you don't get stopped again, you know. Hey, what's going on? What's going on, Andre Terry? What's happening, man? What's going on? So we're talking immigration, man. We just kind of getting started. Now, so we talked about the Democrats and stuff, but let me tell you some of the ramifications of these guys' position, right? I have a little short clip of a guy, Bill O'Reilly, talking about, you know, some of the same people I just showed you on that chart were in front of Congress, and they were being grilled by Congress in these sanctuary cities. And so, let's go take it's a short clip about them being grilled. It's up here somewhere. There you go.
The Oversight and Government Reform Committee held hearings on sanctuary counties and cities, okay? And states, sanctuary states. So California, Illinois, New York, all sanctuary states. That means the governors of those states order the state police and the local police not to cooperate with ICE at all. Outrageous, of course. First up, Governor Hochul of New York and Congresswoman Elise Stefanik. Go.
So let's talk about Sebastian Zepeda Khalil. Do you know who that is?
I don't have the specific details at my disposal, no.
Well, this is an illegal migrant in New York because of your sanctuary state policies. Do you know what crime he committed?
I'm not familiar at this moment.
I bet you're going to be familiar when I remind you. He found a sleeping woman on the subway, lit her on fire, and burnt her alive. This is in Kathy Hochul's New York. And as I'm sure you are aware, and I'll remind you, that ICE issued an order to detain this violent criminal, but that was rejected by New York officials due to sanctuary state laws.
See, that's my problem. See, this is where the law enforcement guys are not communicating with each other based on these sanctuary laws. And I think it's almost like secession from the union, if you ask me.
Devastating. Absolutely devastating.
Can you do me a favor and just like go back like 15 seconds? I need to hear what she said one more time because I missed something. I'm sorry.
Okay, no, that's all right. Let's just go back.
And as I'm sure you are
Is that far enough? Wait a minute.
Yeah, no, that was good.
I'm not familiar at this moment.
I bet you're going to be familiar when I remind you. He found a sleeping woman on the subway, lit her on fire, and burnt her alive. This is in Kathy Hochul's New York. And as I'm sure you are aware, and I'll remind you, that ICE issued an order to detain this violent criminal, but that was rejected by New York officials due to sanctuary state laws.
Devastating. Absolutely devastating.
That's what she said.
And Hochul has no answer.
That's what she said.
And doesn't care.
Oh, my fucking goodness.
Okay, second one. The vice presidential nominee, Tim Walz, governor of Minnesota. Roll the tape.
One reason you're here testifying before us today is because you refuse to cooperate with ICE. While states like Florida and Virginia empower their law enforcement to detain and remove criminal illegal aliens, you, sir, have done just the opposite. Your attorney general is directing law enforcement to ignore ICE immigration detainers. Do you agree with the attorney general's guidance?
Well, Congressman, it's good to see you again, and thank you for being here. First, I would say as my job as governor of Minnesota is to make Minnesota the best state in the nation.
That was it. That's all I had. I could have played you 2 more minutes of it, but no, Minnesota's a great place. Minnesota.
Jesus Christ.
All right. If Kamala had won, he'd be VP. Mine. Third one is the worst governor in the United States of America, J.B. Pritzker of Illinois. Now, he's worse than Newsom, worse than Hochul, because he is about as arrogant a human being as I have ever seen. Roll the tape.
Why did you state during Biden's border crisis that illegal aliens, quote, should have been welcomed and helped by elected officials?
When you say illegal
I'm
aliens,
asking
these
you,
are
should
people
these
who are
people have been
given
welcomed and
asylum.
helped into our communities?
People who are
That's an
asylum
easy
seekers.
yes or no question.
You're mischaracterizing them.
It is your position that they should have been welcomed into our communities. Is that correct?
There were asylum seekers.
So he's playing the asylum game. Now, as everybody knows, the Biden administration allowed people, all people, at any time in any place, when they were apprehended by federal officials, to say, I want asylum. It's not what the law says. The law says you have to go to ports of entry and you have to apply formally there for asylum. Biden didn't enforce the law. So that's what Pritzker's doing. Oh, these are just asylum seekers. He knows the game. He knows that millions of people, millions, use that con, which were given to them by the smuggling cartels in Mexico. They would tell people, if you get caught, you say you want asylum. Because the cartels knew Biden wouldn't enforce the law. Pritzker knows that. And they, oh, no, asylum. Okay, so why is Pritzker the worst governor? Cook County, Chicago controls the entire state of Illinois. There are 13 million people in Illinois. And at the end of last year, 2024, there were in Chicago 559 homicides, 2,225 shootings, violent crimes, 31,378. Think about that. There are 365 days in a year. In Chicago, there were 31,378 violent crimes. Pritzker has done nothing about it, none, because that would affect his pandering to the minority community because African Americans commit most of the violence in Chicago. All right, so he won't do anything about it. And as a result of the carnage, the danger, and the high taxation, ready? 13 million people, about 365,000 Illinois residents have left the state.
All right, we can end it right there. Now, it's a grim thing, right? I know a lot of people don't want to hear the white man said it was a black guy that did the most crime, but that shit's probably true. It's probably true. It's Chicago, see, So so anyway, any thoughts on Trey? Welcome aboard, Trey. What's that?
Good evening, fellas.
All right.
Yeah.
You got anything to say? Or just
I'm sorry. I was gonna let 100 watts go first. My fault.
No,
we've been up here,
Go
baby.
ahead, please feel free.
Well, look, I'm a slight bit torn with this whole immigration thing, right? I'm not torn on if they are criminals, right? They have a criminal past, they need to be deported immediately. I don't have any leeway. I have a zero tolerance policy for that. If they are criminals and they are here to get away from the crimes that they committed, either in their country or in this country, they need to be deported immediately. There's zero tolerance for me on that. However, Black folk, white folk, Asian Americans, Latino Americans, they're not going to go work in these farms and in these fields. They're just not going to do it. And then the fact of the matter is that somebody's got to do the job. And if it's not going to be us, then you might as well let them stay and let them do the job. And there's other ways of handling this, whether you can document them, make sure that they are documented correctly, make sure that they are paying taxes. You can pull the taxes straight from the people who pay them. There's always another way to do this. This idea that you're going to round them up and send them home, well, that's going to have a burden on the people, the taxpayers are here in America. So I'm a little bit torn. On the one hand, you kind of need them to do the work because I like getting my fresh organic fruits and vegetables. But on the other hand, I can understand that the burden that they place on taxpayers by being here illegally. And the fact of the matter is that now, to me, they seem to almost be a little bit arrogant about it. The fact of the matter is that we've always known that they've come to this country to get more money, to get the money and send it back home. That's nothing new. Obama was in office and he sent 3 million of them back home.
This is 5.3 million.
Oh, excuse me. Okay, 5.3. Yeah, in 8 years, he sent 5.3 million back home. So this isn't anything new. We know that presidents do this, but I'm seeing a lot of videos of basically people who are immigrants or first generation Americans saying we don't even like being here. Your country isn't as good as ours, and we're only here to get the money. Okay, well, fine. Well, now that you guys have expressed that, let's handle that accordingly. If you're here just to get the money, well, that's something we can do about that. We can handle that, right? But all this other stuff they have going on, the protesting, again, I've never seen a protest that ended in a positive manner where things were changed. I think I've never seen one. Maybe somebody can point me in a direction where laws were changed immediately because of a protest. I've never seen it, but there's a way to handle this. I'm not in complete agreement with the Trump administration, how they're handling this entire thing. I think there's a different way they could be doing it.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think, do you agree with the fact that he's recognizing what you just said and he's backtracking a little bit? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, he didn't have a choice.
No, well, he had a choice. He could have been arrogant and stupid.
Well, no, because then he's essentially turning against the people who voted for him. So he had no choice. Eventually, this was going to be the end result is that you can't send them home. Somebody got to do the work.
But this is the operating system of Trump. Any stance that he takes, he is going to stand on the complete extreme. Nope, we're going to get rid of all of them, build the wall, and they going to pay for it too. He going to take the most extreme. And as he goes, he always dials it back and dials it back and dials it back. But yeah.
Well, let me ask you something, 100 watts. You're right.
He does that for people who like clickbait and headlines.
Right.
So if you're a clickbait and you're a headlines person, you love that, and you love that he does that because it's always, oh, look, he did the extreme.
Yeah.
But
Right.
people who
He reminds
understand,
me of Jerry Jones. He reminds me of Jerry Jones all the time because when nobody's talking
my
about the
point
Cowboys,
exactly.
when nobody's talking about the Cowboys, Jerry Jones is gonna find a way to bring himself up. And Trump could be chilling doing nothing. But you know what? I think the people bored. Let me give them something to they're gonna
And it works.
Right. I
every
mean,
time.
It works every time. Listen, like I've said before, I was able to retire off of his first presidency because he would go stand in front of a microphone and he would say something crazy and the market would go down. And the next day he would come back and he would say something in front of a microphone and the market would go up. And he would do this every single day. And I would just sit there and just play based on what he said. That's all I did for 4 years, just based on what he said. What did he say today? Well, he said, this is something crazy. He said something about North Korea. Market's going to go down today. And I would go buy options. He'd come back tomorrow and say, me and the leader of North Korea, we had a great conversation. Things are good. We're fine. Market go right back up. Again, I've said this before. If you don't know how to use this politics stuff to your advantage, that's your fault. But once I saw that Israel had done something to Iran, I was like, oh, market gonna be down tomorrow. I saw that coming a mile away. Market gonna be down tomorrow. It's a buyer's market tomorrow. And what happened? Market went down, and I said eventually it'll stabilize and it'll come back up Monday morning. Stabilizes, comes back up. You have to learn how to maneuver through this.
So
Well, he did backtrack on Sunday, though, right? Then he came back with that little, maybe I overthought this thing, so I'm gonna, give these exceptions to these things, and all of a sudden, boom, because the bullets are still flying between those two countries, But anyway, go ahead, 100. What was you gonna say?
Before we get too far off, I just wanted to say I think it's interesting because now that other groups of people are starting to see the game that's being played in the media and we're able to start playing with the market in the way that they are, how they may change their tactics in the future. And all of this is interesting to see because Black people weren't paying attention to, oh shit, Trump just said something stupid, the market's going to be down. Because once that whole Twitter thing on between him and Elon started happening, anybody that was paying attention should have bought some Tesla stocks because that shit's going right back up now.
You know what?
Tesla was up 1% today.
But just to sidetrack a little bit, I bought the tracking stock, the ETF, the TSLL. I think it's one of what I'm talking about, right, Trey? Yeah, this is I like that. Anyway,
yeah, because it does the work for you, lazy.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Shoot. Anyway, I got another video that I want to show you. Now, I said to 100 that there's a video out there that that tells you exactly what the Democrats are planning, right, and why they're doing what they're doing. Now, this is an explanation. Some folks might not say it's the explanation, but I tend to agree with it. So I'm gonna play. It's by April Chapman. Are you familiar with that name? Trey? No. Anyway, so let's meet April Chapman. And her thing is, why are the Democrats taking this position as a whole, as a body, as a way of their ideology? All right, here we go.
Because the Democrats won't say this out loud. And I'm trying to understand for the life of me why Republicans don't say it. I love you, Jesse Waters, appreciate you and all the work that you're doing over there, you and Sean Hannity and Laura Ingraham, but anybody, please don't want to give your girl a call so I can get on Fox News and explain to you why the heck these Democrats are saying the things that they're saying, and why is it that the Republicans are not exposing them and telling the truth? So since I'm free and no one owns me and I'm free to say whatever the heck I want to say, I'm just going to go ahead and peep everybody here on game. The Democrats are fighting to keep these illegals in this country because they need illegal immigrants, not because they care about them, because they want to give these people a better life. That is not it. They need these illegals because these illegals represent congressional power. I'm not sure how many of you guys knew this, but the census, they count bodies, not citizenship. So more bodies mean more congressional seats. More seats mean more federal money and more control. If you look at what's been happening to Democrat cities for the past 8 years, these Democrat cities are bleeding citizens. People are leaving these cities and states in droves because of the high crime, because of the high taxes, because of the government overreaching, the crazy Green New Deal policies. It's just not friendly to business. There's so many reasons why they have lost people. So their solution is we got to replace this tax base with illegals. Since we can't generate revenue within the state, the illegals will give us the appropriation that we need from federal money in order to expand our congressional districts, more bodies, more seats, and then more federal money. And so they are turning it into a literal socialistic hellhole. But these sanctuary cities are nothing more than slave recruitment centers. I went ahead and said it, so go ahead and clip it. Okay, the sanctuary cities, these are not safe havens. They're recruitment hubs for Democrats, their next loyal voting bloc. That's what they need these people for. That's why they're giving them the free housing. They're giving them the free healthcare, the food sources, and EBT. All of that sounds compassionate until you realize that it creates a cycle of dependence. And so since Democrats, they love keeping a people oppressed and subjugated and dependent, they're not looking to uplift these communities. They're looking to control them. How do we know? We've been here before. The Black American community with the Great Society program created another demographic of government dependence. The Democrats oppressed and subjugated and beat into during Reconstruction and Jim Crow, the idea that you're going to vote for us and you're going to like it, and we don't care how you feel about it. That's what they always do. They are the party of subjugation and oppression and coercion and control. I just did a video yesterday on the tyranny of the Democrats and how they use the KKK to push their tyranny. They don't believe in free and fair elections. They manipulate every aspect of government that they get their little grimy hands on. And so, as a Black American female, I am telling you to listen very carefully to the words that I'm telling you. The Black American community has already been replaced. They're not replacing us. It's already done. You're being replaced, not represented, okay? Don't fall for the lie. And this is not your fight. And I don't even understand why white liberals are even.
All right. So there you go. So go ahead. Any commentary on that?
Oh, I recognize her. I didn't know her by name. I saw another video that she did before. And yeah, I mean, she's not wrong. I don't think that's all of it, but she's not wrong in what she's saying. I think that was the plan during the Biden administration, was to get these people in there because they can see what was happening. I think California was a big proponent of this, and I think since 2010, they've lost almost 10 million residents have left the state of California. So I think this is one of the, that was one of the things that a lot of Democrats are looking at. So she's not wrong on this. Yeah, they're trying to replace the residents that they lost because they're going to lose the congressional seats. They're going to lose congressional power this way. And it also helps in the voting too, because if you don't have that many residents, then you don't need that many electoral votes either, right? Because it's based on your population, right? So, I mean, so there's a lot going on here. I don't think she's wrong, no.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm telling you. So any commentary there, 100?
I agree. I don't think she was wrong. I always find it amazing when people get their rapper hands going on. She was going real hard with the rapper. It distracted me for a second, but no, I didn't disagree with anything that was said. It is just kind of wild to see that a motherfucker just show up and be like, "Oh, I need asylum. I need free food. Help me!" Like, damn. All right, okay. So, and it was even crazy. Like, again, from my military brainwashing mind, I've been in tough spots, right? And I've reached out to the VA for help, and they have basically told me that I have to already be homeless and not able to buy food for them to help me. The fact that I have a job is already overqualified. If I have a job, that already overqualifies me to receive any kind of help from them in terms of like living situation or food subsidies or anything like that. The fact that I have a job, right? I'm not talking, and veterans will definitely understand. Like I want a desk riding veteran, fam. Like I actually got into the box. I have a medal for combat accommodation. I have a combat accommodation medal. Like I have that. I did something in that motherfucking uniform. And you're telling me that if I'm not all the way homeless, you won't help me. But somebody can ride their ass on a plane or on a boat and come over here and say, I need some help. My kids is hungry. Oh shit, you gonna put me in a penthouse in New York?
It's just crazy. It's absolutely madness. It's
kicking kids out of school to give them a place to stay. New York was kicking kids, telling kids to relocate to a different school so they could have somewhere to house these people. Let me tell you something about the asylum. When I was in the Air Force and I had to work the gate. And a part of our training was, what do you do if somebody came up to the gate and said, I'm seeking asylum? That was a part of it. It was a part of the training. And we had this whole protocol and what to do, if somebody came up to the gate. Thankfully, nobody ever came up to the gate. But when we would do these exercises, that was always one of the big things. Like, all right, I'm a such and such from such and such country, and I'm seeking asylum. Help me. You know what I mean? And that's when I learned, oh, this is a con. This is a jig. Like you could just walk up to any military base and just say like, oh, I'm fleeing my country. You know what I mean? Like you said, other than outside of maybe Haiti, like I can understand Haitians doing it because they got problems over there. You know what I mean? They got problems. But in most of these countries, like when they do that, it's because they know that the American system, and again, if all you do is go on TikTok and watch the TikTokers, they're exposing themselves. They're saying, look, we know the American system benefits.
I got one coming up.
And they want to take advantage of it.
I got one coming up. So listen, I wanted to paint a picture of coming top down to where we are now. So now we know why, whether you agree with all the stuff April said, I want to get to the point where we're talking about, well, do these people actually appreciate what's happening with them? Like you alluded to, Trey, right? Do they really appreciate that? So we know who the culprits are from the blue cities, the blue states. We know the reason why the Democrats are doing this ideologically. And then I want to show some clips to people get the point of the perspectives from different perspectives or this immigration from the immigrants themselves. How about that? So let me go ahead and show the very first one. And of course, I have the man himself doing a reaction to it, of course. And none other than my man Anton Daniels, which always brings it, whatever he brings. Okay, listen to this chick and see if you still have the same feeling about immigrants after she finished talking. This is part one.
That's exactly who I was talking about.
Say this,
right.
We do not move to America because we think it's a better country. We move here because it's a little less worse than our other countries. Because you're stupid to think that we moved to this country for some hot dogs and some baseball. We have better vibes, music, food, culture, history, literally all of the above. We just moved here because we are looking to make more money and offer a better chance for our families. Did you know that the minimum wage a day, not an hour, a day in Mexico is not even 15 American dollars? Not even 15 American dollars. Right now with $15 in San Diego, I could go maybe buy a matcha and half of a granola bar, honey. If you support ICE, you support people getting destroyed. If you support families getting destroyed, I hope you rot in hell. And I will see you there, babes.
She's evil. I hope y'all realizing, because when they're communicating this and when they jump on their phone and they start to have these conversations with y'all, they don't realize that they're actually telling on themselves and they're giving us reason to not support them. And more importantly, I want people to feel ashamed. I want people, black people that's out there protesting on behalf of women like this, white people that are out there protesting on behalf of women like this, other legal migrants that came over and love this country. They don't care about what we got going on over here. They don't care about our culture. They don't care about what our standards are. They are going to do what they want to do. And one of the reasons is because they truly, even though they come from a third world country, as far as I'm concerned, even though they come from a less than ideal environment, even though they come from a space that is actually horrible when it comes to the cartel and the culture and all of this stuff, they feel like they better than you. They feel like they better than us. They feel.
Well, let me just stop it right there because y'all get the gist, right? And just any commentary. Listen, this should give everybody a little bit more flavor and background where they're coming from when you see 1,000 Mexican flags in America burning the American flag and waving their own while they're sucking your taxpayer dollar dry. I mean, I don't see how anybody can't be infuriated. You don't have to be a Republican. You don't have to love Trump. I mean, the grift is just so big. I mean, it's crazy, man. It's just absolutely crazy. It's absolutely crazy. I mean, so, listen, the Trump derangement syndrome is a real syndrome because just because you hate one man, you're going to allow yourself to get grifted like this. So I'm just talking. Anybody have any, this is just part one of this. Go ahead.
It's your perspective for the lady that's in this video, right? Her perspective is my country is better than yours. I'm just here to get something from yours, right? So
like a vampire.
Me again, from my brainwashing, it's so much shit happening in the world, like this Israel shit. That is a real possibility that people have probably gonna have to start getting called to go do some shit. Okay, this is real life where motherfuckers is about to start getting called to do shit. And what's unfortunate is there are people like myself that are possibly going to get called and are willing to go, whether getting called or not, right? Like I've spoken to some of the people that I've enlisted with, and from what they're saying, that if this shit go to a certain level, they willing to get active. Okay, so now there are people that have to protect this country, and you telling me there's motherfuckers here right now inside of it that's already trying to cause harm? Come on, dog. Nah, fuck that.
Well, you got something. You got something. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead. You got something to trade on that one?
No, I agree. I agree 100% with what 100 Watts is saying. I hope the Air Force doesn't need me. I'm 40 years old now. I don't want to. I don't want to fight. I've been to Iraq twice. I don't want to fight. All right, you know what I mean? I'm good. I'm good on that. But here's the thing. That is the same exact video that I saw, and what it made me do is because I thought maybe that's just one woman. Maybe that's just one woman. Right? Maybe that's just her opinion of it, right? And then I went down this rabbit hole on TikTok and I realized, no, there are quite a few of them that feel this way, and that they have exposed themselves, not necessarily, like I said, not that we didn't know this already, but they are being brazen and public with it now and saying, hey, look, we're only in your country to make money. We're only here. And when we make enough money, we're going to grab our things and we're going to go back. That tells me that you are here to siphon and suck on the American system so that you can make things better for your family back in your country. Well, there needs to be a cost for that. Like there needs to be a price for that. I'm not saying you can't come here and do better for your family. I wouldn't do that, right? But there needs to be a heavy price for that. And this is where I'm saying there needs to be an illegal immigrant or an immigrant tax that needs to be separate from the American citizens that are here. They need to pay a certain amount of taxes, and if they are unwilling to pay that tax, then they need to be deported post haste, like immediately. But if you want to come here and you want to make money for your family, perfectly fine, but it's going to cost you. It's going to cost you a lot of money, because what has happened is that you have put in an immense amount of pressure and burden on the taxpayers that are already here, that don't necessarily want you here, but understand that this really is a country of immigrants to begin with, right? So we kind of get that part of it. So we say, hey, if you want to come here and make money for your family, go right on ahead. But y'all are taking it to a whole nother level. Now you're destroying stores and convenience stores and medical supplies. There might be parents and family members that may need medicine for their families. And then you are really being arrogant about it and running your flag around on TV and burning ours. Now, this is where it's gone too far. I'm not saying not to have any pride in your nation. Absolutely have pride in your nation. I would never take that away from anybody, right? But when you say that we're going to burn up the flag of the nation in which we come so that we can provide a better life for the people back home in our country, we got a problem now. We have a serious problem. And so while like I said, somebody got to pick the fruits and vegetables. I understand that there's a process to do that for them, but everybody else, round them motherfuckers up and send them home.
I hear you, man. Let's go ahead and see her double down on her dastardly shit.
I am from Mexico City and I moved to the US about 10 years ago. If you're a liberal baddie just like me, please leave a blue comment in the section because my comment section has been flooded by Republicans lately. I'm not really sure why I'm on here today. I think I have a lot on my mind. I want to rant. It's been a really hard week, so take what you want from this, I guess. I recently made a video about how even though in the US we can make more money and probably get better opportunities, we still don't think it's a better country compared to our home countries. Well, my comment sections are now flooded with people saying that a negative and a negative is a plus. So I am saying the US is better. People are saying I should go back to my country. People are saying that I should go up against the cartel and speak up again in my own country so that I can have better wages in my own country and that I could just move back. And honestly, I was fighting these people in the comment sections for a really long time, but it just honestly became too much. I was kindly reminded this week that stupid, ignorant people do not want to learn, and we shouldn't spend our time and effort trying to teach these people.
So wait a minute, and I might be a little bit slow, but nothing that she said actually combats some of the comments that she just mentioned, that she just said, and why they don't make sense. So why won't you go and fight the cartel? But instead you over here protesting in the United States of America and you moved here. Why won't you go back to Mexico City? Why won't you actually advocate for higher wages and more industries to build in Mexico? Why won't you hold your legislators and your leadership accountable for who it is that you have in office and why they continue to support the Mexican cartels and not rooting out all of the crime and the issues and the problems? And why do they continue to allow for themselves to be taken advantage of by other countries in order to ship products into the United States of America? Why are y'all so interdependent on the United States of America? And why did you come here instead of advocating for your country to be back great again? Instead, you want to sit here and cause chaos and corruption. And, you know, she's sitting there talking about, oh, no, your country ain't nowhere near as good as ours. But she won't go back home. She won't actually embrace the thing that they running away from. And let's be clear, Mexico City is one of the better cities inside of Mexico. And trust me, I've been there. I've been to multiple different cities inside of Mexico, Central Mexico, the whole 9 yards, right? They won't go there. They won't stay there because it's not better than the United States of America. But she's feeling some type of way because everybody is getting on her ass. But let me, before we continue into this video, let me show you the original video so that
we saw it. Okay, so the point really is, man, you know, she deserves all the ass whipping she's getting, man. You know what I'm saying? Listen, she just doubled down on what she said before. And it's one of those kind of things, talking about not appreciating the hand that feeds you. You know what I'm saying? It's just a bad thing all the way around. And I think one of the things that bothers me the most is all the Americans who can't really see that coming, right? I mean, these people are actually taking advantage of the fact that, I mean, we're talking billions of dollars. Billion. You know, the lady who got assassinated in Minnesota just recently, she was the one Democrat who voted not to give healthcare benefits to illegal aliens. You know, so because everybody says this guy might have Republican leaning, but he's all over the place. But she was the one vote who, well,
I'm sorry. I smoke weed sometimes, and sometimes I miss things. Can you please say that one more time? Because I did not catch what you just said.
Well, the couple who got assassinated, the lady was a representative in Minnesota, and she got assassinated, but she was the sole person, I believe. It was either her or the one who got hurt, but wounded, but I think it's the one who died, who voted against a bill to give medical insurance to illegal aliens. You know, and that was the only way they could get a legislation through the body of government. Now, if they were in, like, I think California, since it's a super majority, Republicans have no say there. So I think they do give medical insurance to their illegal aliens. You know, so I mean, it's crazy. It's absolute madness. And then, you know, you sit back and say, you think about how much you're getting taxed everywhere, and people have no. People just freeloading off of you. You know, it's just crazy, man. It's just so. Anyway, yeah, I'm gonna just go through a line of another line, because there's a lady who is a illegal, who is a green card holder who appreciates. We got to end it with somebody who's appreciative of what she's getting here. So I want to kind of show her, just so we can kind of even out the poison that we got from this last lady. You know what I'm saying? All right, so let's go ahead.
An American whose grandparents immigrated to the U.S. legally, y'all need to shut the about deportation. It's really not that hard to understand that if you do something illegal, you're going to suffer the consequences. And I don't want to hear any of this bullshit. Illegal immigrants pay this much in taxes. Illegal immigrants make up this much of the workforce. So do serial killers. So do rapists. So do thieves. Should we just not arrest them because they contribute to society in some way? No, that's not how it works. You do something illegal, you pay for the consequences of your actions. If you are an illegal immigrant, you can self-report and get completely free transportation, you and your whole family, back to your home country. And a lot of other countries don't have that. Go to Russia and try that shit. You'll be locked up for 50 years, and you'll probably be tortured and eventually killed. And every single country practices deportation. It's just a fucking fact. But somehow, people in America are the only people complaining about this. Right now, if I wanted to try to go to Canada, France, Italy, Belgium, fucking anywhere, if I tried to go there, no passport, no visas, no paper, and just try to start living there and working there, guess what? I would get deported too, because
that's the biggest point from a lot of this, is that people are not, most Americans are ignorant, you know, and that's just the way that it is. Most Americans are ignorant to the ways of what happens outside of the United States of America. And that puts them at a disadvantage, because they want for us to allow for way more grace than anywhere else in the world. And the people that's not from America that comes over here illegally, they know this. And so they take advantage of the system. They take advantage of the fact that we are dumb, we are ignorant, we don't really understand exactly what they go through in culture. And the funniest part about that is that when you go over to a lot of these places that they are from, like if you go and visit or you study their culture, you don't realize that the things that we allow from them, they wouldn't allow it over there. Like all of these liberal policies and the way in which we carry ourselves and the way in which we handle business and stuff like that, that's not flying in the places that they come from. Even when it comes to like the Ukraine war and stuff, they're not liberal over there. They're not messing around. They are very much more aligned with the conservatives in a way that we think of here in the United States of America. So when people think that they could just come over here and do what they want to do, you couldn't even do that in your own country. But they advocating and protesting while at the same time waving their flags. Here's the thing that I'm always trying to understand is, if your flag in your country and you have so much pride in it, then why did you leave it? That's a very basic question. I know the answer, so it's rhetorical. It's rhetorical.
We can stop it there. So the point really is, we know the point, right? So I have one more video, but any commentary on what we've seen so far? This lady, she's an immigrant. She has, and obviously, I think she's of Hispanic background. She doesn't seem like she has any sympathy for people who got here illegally.
Before you play that clip, I was just sitting here thinking a lot of the conversations that I may have had in real life that have been against what is happening right now are from niggas that haven't spent more than a weekend out of their hometown. Like, it's hard to have a conversation with somebody about immigration or foreign policy or something like that, and you don't even leave your block, homie.
Right.
Like you the only outside of your state you've done is a trip with your homegirls to Miami or a trip with the homies to Vegas or some shit like that, and then you go right back home. You have no idea how different cultures actually interact with each other, the difference between, like, you just really don't know and understand how this shit is really working, and the difference between people that are actually coming here trying to take care of their family and get their grandkids and all of that shit. Like, the people who come here to actually try and make some shit happen for their family, like, they may love their country, but they understand that they're here to actually give their family an opportunity, versus a motherfucker that came over here. All right, cool, we're gonna go to America, we're gonna hit this play real quick, and we're gonna whoop you know what I'm saying? Like, there is a complete difference there, and having a conversation with somebody that can't even understand that is already hard within itself.
Yeah, I mean, there's a statistic that shows that most Americans haven't even been, if they have been out of the country, they've only been to Canada or Mexico. It's the furthest they've gone. And so when you get understanding, you know that they don't really understand that you can't just waltz into a country. It just doesn't work that way. And if you do, there are severe consequences. And if you think that our prison system is bad, go look at the Thai prison system. Go look and see how they live.
Earlier, our pain, you were talking about the assimilation. Excuse me. You were talking about the assimilation to becoming an American citizen. And earlier today, I was looking at, like, moving to Tokyo. Like, to move to Tokyo, like, you actually have to take a language class. You have to have a job. Like, you have to have certain qualifications just to get the visa to get in. That's before you even fucking show up. That is the application for them to tell you whether you live here or not. Like, you have to line yourself up before you can even bring your bullshit over there. So to think that you can just show up here and just not have to do any of that is crazy.
You got countries where you can't buy property. Like, you'll never be able to buy property, even if you're married to a national. You won't be able to buy property. Like there's other countries that have such strict rules. But whenever we try to impart some rules here, it's like, oh, well, what are they doing? They're trying to keep people out. Well, yeah, because it's been too lax for a while.
It's my right.
right. And it's like, and what's frustrating is the people who, like 100 Watts said, they've never been anywhere, so they don't understand this. So they think that somehow that their rights are being infringed upon. No, you're here illegally. If you broke into my house, you have no rights once you step foot in my house. You're in my home. You're not supposed to be here. So whatever happens to you, happens to you. And I've always said, if you come to my house uninvited,
so big amp.
Not leaving the way you came in. Not leaving the way you came in. So I don't have a problem with this. I am all for you doing the proper paperwork. I watched a video today of a guy, a Chinese guy, Gen Z, one of the Gen Z guys, really, butter soft. I was talking about his parents. His parents were Chinese. They immigrated here. They took them 10 years to get here. He finally got here. He wound up being able to go to school and all this. He's got all these great things. He's obviously he was born here, so he's a citizen, and he is just absolutely appalled at his parents because his parents didn't want to help them. They live in California. He didn't want to help the parents didn't want to get with the protest. And he's like, I can't believe my parents would be like this. And his parents are trying to explain to them that there's a system, there's a process, there's protocol to this. You can't just show up.
You don't want to hear it.
He don't agree with it. He don't agree with it one bit. He don't want to be a part of it one bit. He wants his parents to be with it. And it's just like, even your parents understand this. Your parents are getting this, and it took them 10 years to do this. 10 years.
It's incredible, man. I mean, listen, the liberal thought process is I can't wrap my head around it. That I might have been one of those guys at one point, but I don't think I was ever that liberal and said that, I would forget about the law. I feel sorry for these people, so we're gonna let them do whatever the hell they want to do. I don't think I was ever that kind of person, And so when we think about in all the blue states where they said, well, you could rob somebody blind as long as it's only $999, it's okay. I've never heard of any. This is the craziest shit. And you know what? My sister's a cop, right? And I remember in New York when they were putting that rule in terms of, making it like a misdemeanor, no bail, letting you out. And she said to me, she says, man, this is the worst shit that could ever happen to the city. I mean, she said, are you kidding me? And I'm over here and we going back and forth. I says, yeah, but if you locking people up for years if they can't have a bail, blah, 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 blah. I said, that's no fair either. It takes a year for me to get my trial and I'm in jail for a year or so. And now I had to call up and says, you know what? Sometimes you got to listen to people know what the fuck they're talking about. Because once she said, I told you. I mean, absolute anarchy, man. Malls are closing down all over New York because people are robbing the shit, So the same thing, with this illegal immigration, they hide behind the heartstrings of all the liberals. But the real shit on the ground is that the taxpayer money that people are begging for little this and that, the politicians don't use on the people who pay the taxes. And then you see a whole flood of people come in, and all of a sudden, man, they eating caviar and biscuits and shit, man. What the hell's going on? Like I remember in Chicago, they had a building that was an old school that was down. And our community's been begging to have it repurposed, right? And the Mayor Brandon, stuck his middle finger up. You darkies, man, you voted for me. You some stupid black N-words. And then as soon as he took all these sanctuary immigrants, they had $50 million to refurbish this place. They took the one park that the blackies had that they could play in, and they took that away and says, this is going to be the temporary tent cities.
And if they would have came and set that shit on fire, they would have been wrong for that.
Yes. But you know what? That's not the travesty, because half those same blackies are going to vote for Brandon Johnson again. That's the travesty. They can't even see what these guys are doing to them because the orange man bad. I say, well, orange man bad, he's gone. He ain't coming back. The programming of black folks into the Democratic Party is so deep that you might as well, if you were in jail and you got punked out, you're going to automatically be sitting down. Nobody has to tell you no more. They beat that shit out of you. You're just going to go on the toilet bowl and sit down, because you're not going to buck the system no more, even if nobody's looking, so I'm just trying to say that's where we are. I can't see how any taxpayer could do this. Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
No, this is what I'm saying. 2028 is going to be insane. I thought 2024 was crazy. I thought 2024 was crazy because you're going to have this immigration issue. You're going to have, do we want a continuation of a Republican regime? I'm telling you, you have the women, they feel a certain way about this. Listen, 2028 is going to be off the hook politics-wise.
2028 election day, we're gonna have an investment party. I'm gonna have a bunch of people in my house. We're gonna have a board full of stocks up, and we're gonna just as a group decide where the fuck to put some money.
Here's another thing.
Hey, 100 Wall Street, 100, you're gonna be sitting in a room full of millionaires because there's gonna be so much money to be made in 2028. Listen to me, I'm serious, because people don't understand that politics is big business. They don't get that part of it. Remember, Kamala's administration raised over $1 billion, not a million, $1 billion. Okay, this is big business, and so you got to think: no more Trump. Trump can't run for office no more. He's gone. He's done. He's done. Right? He's done. There's no overpowering system. They can have another insurrection. He ain't coming back because it ain't written that way. It ain't written that way. They can storm the Capitol again. It won't matter. He ain't coming back. right?
Exactly.
So now you got 2028, you got 2028 coming up, and I'm looking at this like, man, I wonder, first of all, who's going to be the two nominees, which is going to be highly important. So I think you're going to have AOC is going to be in the running. I think Gavin Newsom's going to be there. I think Kamala's going to try again.
Yeah, it's moving into primary. I mean, but the incumbent, they got not the incumbent, but the guy they're going to put up there from the Republicans is the vice president.
Yeah, it's going to be JD Vance, but he's going to have some competition.
Oh, yeah.
They're not just going to lay down for him. He's going to have some competition.
But you can't overlook 2026 because if
the midterms are important too. Absolutely.
If the Republicans lose the House and the Senate, they're going to impeach Trump.
For sure.
Now, I don't know if they need a super majority. I don't know if they need a super majority in the Senate. I think it's a simple majority in the House, but in order to impeach him, I don't know if they need 60 votes. They probably need 60 votes, right? So they might, unless they sweep the Republicans, they're not going to have 60 votes, and they might not even win back the Senate. But people, so that's what they're going to do. So if they win one of the houses, it's going to be gridlock for the next 2 years after that. So that's why Trump is trying to do all the shit he can do right now. Anyway, so I only have I have one more video that I wanted to show. I had a show of the Asian guy, but I can't find the link. I had the link. I didn't put it in my notes. But I have one more video about a guy, and his thing is, he kind of explains as part of his thing about what the sanctuary cities and blue states have done to the country, and how the blue states are being destroyed based on the democratic and liberal policies. And it comes right back to the same states we're talking about: Massachusetts, California, New York, Illinois. And when I put up that picture of the governors and the mayors of those big cities, that was before I found this, and all of these links. I mean, there's I don't know why the Democrats want to destroy the way of life that we have based on what they're doing. And immigration is part of that. But there's other things also going on. So what's that?
Was that my fault? I didn't mean to pop it up, but was that the
that's not the one. That's not the one I was talking about. But it was an Asian man who was talking about how Asians don't like to get involved in this shit. You know what I'm saying? But I have that one that you just shown, but that's all right. But she's off the rails anyway, so I didn't want to show that one. Anyway, this is the one I want to real quick. And I mean, I'm gonna jump ahead a couple of times in this one too, because it's like a few minutes long. I just want y'all to get the point of everything he's saying applies to all the blue states.
To pretty much anybody here, Massachusetts, we're in a decline. And that's not some political slogan. That's based on real data. Because while the Commonwealth and their elites, they just keep on patting each other on the back for being these like progressive pioneers, the economy here is slipping into a slow motion free fall. We are hemorrhaging jobs, we're hemorrhaging talent, and we're hemorrhaging new investment. And the people in charge, they're just too wrapped up in ideology to even notice what's happening in their backyard. I think that what is happening, and I'm going to share these reports with you, this is honestly the most predictable result of a decades-long liberal one-party government gone completely unchecked. We are watching Massachusetts fall behind because Beacon Hill prioritizes their own agendas over working families. They impose mandates that ignore real-world consequences, and between the legislature and legacy media here, they literally have the majority of the population completely brainwashed. Completely. You know this. I know this. And the fact is, the voters, we never asked for skyrocketing taxes. We never asked for skyrocketing energy bills. We never asked for housing shortages. We never asked for prioritizing illegal immigrants over our own citizens, or for policies written to impress activists rather than serve its own commonwealth. And meanwhile, take a look at other states. Other states are thriving. They're cutting the taxes, they're building homes, and they are creating jobs. So instead of, learning from the other states that are getting it right, our own politicians are doubling, if not tripling down on these ideologies that they label progress. This is not progress. This is like some form of political malpractice. That's what it is. I know it, you know it, we all know it. So guess what? Today, I'm going to talk about some of the real data, and the reasons that Massachusetts is so damn lost, okay? I'll link these reports too in the description. So,
you're on mute. You're muted.
Doing that. They didn't want to cough in the thing. When he says Massachusetts, it goes for all the blue states, Illinois, California, New York. So I just wanted to reiterate that. So extrapolate that.
This report is from the Pioneer Institute. I went over this report over the last few days with a fine-tooth comb, and here's what I found. From 2020 to 2024, Massachusetts private sector's GDP per capita grew just 12.5%. Now, you may be wondering, well, what the hell does that mean? To put things into perspective, the national average is 13.3%. So yes, we are below the national average. But then I'd like to look at other states. What are other states doing? And if you look to states like Florida, states like Texas, which, by the way, are often mocked by the elites here in the Northeast, they posted growth rates of 26% and 22.3%. Jesus, even North Carolina is at 17.4%. These aren't.
So listen, you get the point that this guy it has some data that says the policies of the Democrats and the liberals are destroying the blue states and the blue cities.
These are the same states. All of these are the same states that were heavy on masks and isolation and forced vaccination. They were forcing you to get all of these same states.
Put the kids like 2 years behind in school because of it.
Same states. Florida didn't give a fuck about that shit. Get your ass to school. Florida didn't care. Texas
and their death toll was not the worst. I think it was better than a lot of other places, So, listen, the real point of this is, and we can get this guy off the screen, that, I think the immigration thing is exposing a lot of the policies and a lot of the ways the Democrats and the liberals, and I hate to just say Democrats, it's the far left wing of the party. They got moderate Democrats. They got people who are a little bit more right-leaning and still Democrats. And they don't believe in a lot of this stuff either. They got that one Democrat that they all hate named Fetterman, the guy who wears the gym shit all the time. They hate that guy because he has common sense. So they're trying to put a narrative that he's half crazy. So let's try to kick him out.
I need for the Democrats, if y'all want to have a chance for real, please. Let's not do the bring out the rappers and bring out the actors at the DNC. I need y'all actually talking about policy.
Yo, they haven't done it yet.
This performative shit is out of the way. I know it'd be a bunch of y'all be mad and be wanting to be angry at the Republicans, but y'all be mad because it'd be they be mad at Republicans about a speech that somebody made, about somebody standing in front of a microphone and giving policy. Y'all be mad at them, but we be mad at y'all because y'all are twerking on the fucking stage. I need you to give me some policy. There's a lot of pandering and a lot of bullshit. So then you wonder why niggas is starting to vote red, because it's looking funny.
Well, like I said, we went through the issue of the mandates. We talked about the sanctuary cities and the politicians who run them. We talked about the goal of the Democrats. We showed a few perspectives of the people who, don't appreciate being here, but they're here. And one person who says, I don't give a shit. Let's get rid of the worst people. And then, of course, the damage that, liberals do in those blue states. But, well, this is a nice conversation. And I hope the people in the audience got something from it, I'm not trying to convert anybody, but if you could separate your mindset from Trump derangement syndrome, right? Because Trump is going to be gone, right? But the policy and the ideology is not necessarily his. So when TDS is gone, Trump derangement syndrome's gone, I wonder what kind of excuse they're going to use, because you won't have Trump to kick around no more. He's gone.
No,
right?
they'll still use the next 4 years to blame everything that's happening for the repercussions of his policy.
Suppose if he wins the House and the Senate, the country might be, close to be running pretty good. So I think what's going to happen, though, if he gets his so-called big, beautiful bill passed, they're not going to be able to really mess with that because it's going to be codified in law. So that's what he's trying to do before the midterms. And that's his biggest thing right now, getting that bill passed. And he doesn't need a majority to get it passed in the Senate. He got a reconciliation bill. You get 3 chances at being able to just have the simple majority move a bill forward. And that's what he needs. So they got the votes in the Senate. And so that's the number one thing he has to do. And we'll see. I don't have any problem with some of the things he has in that bill. I didn't read it. I kind of divorced from all the bills because everything's going to raise the debt ceiling, whether it's the goddamn Democrats or it's going to be the Republicans. We're going to still be paying taxes one way or the other, So I'm going to start to play the old granddad card, though. Shit, I'm old, man. I shouldn't be paying no goddamn taxes. I should have every benefit other than AARP. I should be having, man. My shit should be frozen. My property taxes should be frozen. I'm supposed to be, man, shit.
I done did this shit for X 20, 30, 40, 50 years. Let me go. I'm good. I paid my tax.
Right. I paid enough tax. Listen, in New Jersey, they're putting some tax-free stuff in. I got to put my paperwork in. They call it the anchor program. Some rebates and freezing. It's you're old fogarty. Okay, you paid enough taxes. You're still gonna get taxed, but still, we can't just raise this shit every year. Anyway, but other than that, man, so any other comments on illegal immigration? Now we're all educated and we're all caught up.
Hey man, illegal immigration. If you get caught slipping, you got caught slipping.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? If you're not on top of your shit, then you get caught slipping. That's just how it go. You know what I'm saying? In any aspect of life, whether you legal, illegal, it don't matter. If you get caught slipping, not following regulations, it happens. It happens at work. You get fired. It happens in your relationship. Your girl leave you. It happens in the country. You get caught. You get sent back home. That's how it goes.
Exactly. I think more people need to realize that. Hey, Big Ant Man, thanks for stopping by. I know Braxton was in there. Trey came up. And we had a few other people stop by. But my whole final thing is, if I can make any difference at all, I'm going to try to pull as many more black men off the plantation, Democratic plantation, over the next 2 to 4 years as I possibly can. I started talking about getting off the plantation in like 2022. And everybody looked at me like I was crazy. I said, man, we got to break this cycle of Democrat stronghold on our psyche, because it's not shackles like it was in slavery back then, but it's mental shackles. In some ways, I'm not going to say it was worse, but to see how people vote against their best interests and being used by the Democrats bother me. They're wolves in sheep's clothing. And what's his name? Malcolm X said it best. He said there's nothing more dangerous to the black man than a liberal, the white liberal. And now it's the black liberal, if you really think about it, because they're the ones who are trying to keep us on the plantation, right? All of those rappers and all of those, D.O. Hugleys of the world, Ricky Smileys, what's his name? The guy whose wife is grifting him with the bald head. He plays the game shows. I keep forgetting the goddamn name.
Steve Harvey.
Yeah, Steve Harvey. All these guys, man, they keep Barack Obama coming out and telling you that if you don't vote for them, you're not a man and all this shit, man. Hell with all that bullshit. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing in the Democratic Party for black men, especially men in general, right? And so, you know that the $20 million they try to spend to define what a man is, right? The program is run by a goddamn feminist woman trying to define. They get $20 million to a feminist woman to define to help bring back men to the Democratic Party. I mean, that's a slap in the face, big time. It's what the hell does she know about men? You know, so
my children.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
already
man.
hard being a man, and now I have to define what a man is too.
Yeah, so bullshit, man. This crazy stuff, man. It's bad work. It's crazy work going on. So I don't have anything else, man. Thanks for popping up, man. I know you're over here, co-host. Hey, listen, you said you got your channel started, man. Shout it out, man. Whatever.
Yeah.
Is you started yet?
Yeah. Finesse Visions. I try to get as active as I possibly can. Currently, just behind the scenes, life. I'm trying to line other things up that's gonna help my YouTube program go. But Finesse Visions, fuck with me on Twitch, 100 watts _2fly, and yeah, I'll be live and active as much as I can.
You say on my channel, marriage, politics, and sports, I got so many things on there. The algorithm doesn't like it, so I started my own. You've been over the Sports Talk channel, Unique Sports Talk. Right. So I just started that, hopefully I started it the right way. So Wednesday at 7 Eastern, which is an hour before BM News show on this channel. Right. So I'm usually not there more than an hour. So anybody who comes over there can get off early enough, because Trey Ferg usually stops by every so often. And then they come over here at 7 Central to this sports show, which is one-on-one sport. And I did start another one too, because I do AI music inspired by different themes. Usually, that, like the dark side of Black Girl Magic. I write a lot of the lyrics to that. So I started a channel called Theme-Based Music, right? All one word, Theme-Based Music, and I have so I'm going back through my inventory, so I'm reposting it on that channel, and I don't even speak on that shit. I just put 2 or 3 minutes into music play, and we'll see how that one goes, man. Then on my home channel, I'm doing a lot more political commentary on that one. So maybe I can get it put into the algorithm, because I got a lot of I got some decent subscribers, but that's the least metrics that matters these days on YouTube. Views matters. Yeah, views matter more than everything else, pretty much. Anyway, man, so anybody out there, thanks for stopping by. BMU, thanks for letting us have your channel and rock and roll. Any final words?
Shout out to Black Man. Shout out to all the Black men out there in the world. Look, man, control your dick and your diet. You be good to go, baby.
I'm working on the diet part, man. At my age, man, I need out of control dick, man. I'm celebrating. You know what I'm saying? But I'm working on the diet, man. Hey, man, have a good night, bro.
YouTube it out.